Here's the real question. Does James Harden get traded before the end of this show? Perk.
Does James Harden get traded? No. Does he gain 7 pounds sitting at home today? Yes.
Perk.
Whoa! Whoa! Tick, 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 tick. We got 15 minutes. So as much as I would like to give you an exciting answer with 15 minutes, I'm going no, but it looks like it's going to happen soon. Tick, 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 tick.
Zach, you're a spoil sport.
All deferential to Christian Wood, trying to get other people involved. He's averaging like 10 assists a game. That's all great. When has James Harden been deferential to anyone? This is not the James Harden we've come to know, we've come to enjoy watching, or maybe not enjoy watching, depending on your taste. This is just not the same player. It's very obvious. All you need to do is watch the games. Something is not right. I suspect it's a whole confluence of things, starting with his care factor and his desire to be a part of the Rockets.
Absolutely. And another thing is, when is the last time James Harden played in the actual system, right? When you look at D'Antoni's style of play up and down, allowing James Harden to get 10 dribbles, a possession to get to the basket or put a guy on the island and isolate him. Well, now you have Coach Stephen Silas actually running sets. He's running sets with his player movement, ball movement, may go to the post from time to time. And James Harden is not used to that. He's already disgruntled and don't want to be there. And one thing that you can always look at and see what's going on and see the temperature is body language. And his body language says it all. It says, I do not want to be here. I saw James Harden at least 6 or 7 times yesterday standing in the corner and not involved in the offense. He don't want to be there. We all know this, and now he's showing that. And that's what's affecting his game. If your mind is not right going into a basketball game, I don't care what's on your mind in the outside world. You're not going to perform at the highest level.
And look, Zach, there's been differing opinions on whether James acting this way and now playing this way is going to affect his trade value. I want to say again, ESPN reporting that Brooklyn and Philadelphia are the lead candidates for a trade. Could happen today, could happen by the end of the day, could happen in the next 5 minutes. Concentration certainly on Philadelphia. My opinion has been that James Harden is James Harden. Everybody, especially Daryl Morey in Philadelphia, knows what you can get when James Harden is engaged. Do you see how he's been playing affecting his trade value at all, or everyone knows this is just very particular to the situation in Houston?
I do, but not with the Sixers. I mean, Simmons for Harden has been the most logical endgame since before all this started, and Brooklyn can offer whatever Brooklyn can offer if they indeed make an offer. I look at the other teams that have been on the fringes of this, your Denvers, Bostons, Portlands, Torontos, et cetera, and a lot of them are looking at this and saying, look, we know if and when somebody trades for James Harden, he's going to be James Harden again. He's going to perk up. He's going to score. He's going to draw contact. He's going to start playing harder. He's going to be who he's always been. But what this does tell us is, what happens if things go sideways a little bit with us after we get James Harden? What happens if we struggle? What happens if somebody gets hurt? What happens if he decides he doesn't like the coach? Well, what does that look like? Is he going to do this to us? Is he going to do the same thing he's doing at Houston because things don't go exactly the way he wants? And if you're just on the fringes, if you've just dipped your toe in, that might be enough to just say, you know what? We really like Jaylen Brown. He's really good. We really like Michael Porter Jr. He's really good. We don't really need to get involved in this. And I'm not saying that that's happened in those places, but I know that a lot of teams that have been on the fringes are watching very closely and debating that very discussion.
All right. Well, we will begin monitoring, watching. We got 8 more minutes left in the show. Maybe it'll happen in the next 8 minutes. Who knows? Stay tuned. In the meantime, here's what the Jump recommends for today on ESPN Training Camp on Time. He didn't report to camp on time, as he instead went on a 3-state tour of various clubs and nighttime establishments, posting social media of himself along the way. When that didn't get him traded, he went to a friend's party, again, maskless, indoors, in direct violation of the NBA's protocol. At least the league noticed that and fined him. Still, all we heard from the Rockets and their management was that they wanted James to play games for them, the hope being that if he actually got on the court with new acquisitions like John Wall, Boogie Cousins, Christian Wood, maybe he'd change his mind on wanting out. Narrator, he did not change his mind. And again, he has been acting that out. The Rockets have lost 4 of their last 5, in large part because Harden has been a shadow of his usual point-scoring, foul-drawing, step-back self. He scored 20 points or fewer 4 games in a row, the first time that's happened since he was coming off the bench in OKC back in 2012. And last night, well, if last night wasn't rock bottom, I'd hate to see what is. By the end of the first quarter, the Lakers, already up 35-14, basically treating the game as an and-one showcase. Check out Montrezl Harrell and THT. Each just cleaning up each other's misses with some rim rattling. Yeah. See, that's nice. Then with the Lakers up 21, LeBron James turned the disrespect up to 11. He hit a pump fake 3 that he didn't even bother to watch fall. And why, may you ask, did LeBron turn to his bench in particular? Well, let him and Dennis Schroeder tell you what happened.
Well, my teammate, hit me with a bet on the sideline, and I took the bet while I was still shooting the ball. I told him to bet a Benjamin on it, so he shot it, or took a dribble, shot it, and turned around and said, bet, then it went in, and it's just legendary. He said, bet you won't make it. And in order to make a bet official, you either got to have a handshake or you got to look a man in the eye. So he said, bet it. And I turned around, looked him in the eye, and I said, bet it.
I can't even. I mean, that's incredible. And in years past, we would have seen at least an attempt at an incredible response from James Harden. Look, you can say what you want about the style James plays, his ability to be clutch in the playoffs, but you cannot deny that out of the 7.7 billion people on this green earth, he is one of the very, very best at playing the basketball. He is an Iron Man who rarely misses games. He is a walking playoff berth. And yet last night, with the defending champs literally making a mockery of Houston's home court, Harden barely lifted a finger. He loped lazy passes. He didn't move on defense. After the game, Coach Stephen Silas said, quote, they're having fun at our expense. It doesn't feel good at all. We should take umbrage. It's like the Lakers were dancing on our home court. But it was what Harden said post-game that spoke the loudest. Clearly, finally tired of trying to act out his feelings, Harden just came out and said what we've all known he's been thinking for more than a month.
We're just not good enough. We don't obviously chemistry, talent-wise, just everything. And it was clear, I love this city. I literally, have done everything that I can. This situation is crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed. So, thanks.
Okay, then. John Wall was up next, and while he didn't want to comment on what Harden said specifically, he did say that, quote, when you have certain guys in the mix that don't want to buy in all as one, it's hard to do anything special. Then when asked about his relationship with Harden, here's what he did say.
I think it's been a little rocky. Can't lie about that. I don't think it's been the best it could be, to be honest. That's all I really can say.
By this morning, the Rockets had clearly had enough. Harden was told not to come to practice, with Coach Stephen Silas telling reporters, quote, we felt it was best for the group and best for James. While Boogie Cousins said the disrespect, quote, isn't something that all of a sudden started last night. Boogie added, it's completely unfair to the rest of the guys in the locker room. So, what happens next? ESPN is reporting the Rockets are in active, serious trade conversations with both Philadelphia and Brooklyn as we speak. So maybe we'll see a Harden deal as soon as today, or maybe it'll be a week or next month. Regardless, it is clear now how this story is going to end. Sounds like James Harden won't be in Houston much longer. So, Perk, where do you think the Rockets go from here?
Well, Rachel, I think that James Harden will probably never wear a Houston Rockets jersey again, especially not this season or the next 2 seasons. He keeps saying that he wants to retire as a Rocket, and I get that because he's done a lot for this organization. He's done a lot for this city. But, a wise man told me when I was young, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And what James Harden did yesterday by throwing his teammates under the bus, undervaluing them, treating them like they're not good enough, or actually saying it is a problem. And right now the Rockets are taking the right steps. I just read a report that said that Stephen Silas said that James will be home for the remainder of the period until they find a trade. And that's the right move. They have to trade James Harden, and they need to trade him fast.
Yeah, I mean, if that wasn't enough, what happened last night, Stephen Silas, when he was asked today whether or not that he thought the situation was reconcilable, he said, I don't know. And that's pretty much as close that coaches come to saying, no, this just isn't going to work out. But what sticks out to me, Rachel and Perk, when I look at what James Harden said last night, it's where is the responsibility on his part for what he's calling, quote, craziness that's going on, whether that's on the court, the statistics that you refer to, Rachel, or whether that's all of the stuff that they've been putting up with that James Harden has been doing off of the court. And if recent history has told us anything about stars that are unhappy in their markets, I'm thinking about Jimmy Butler in Minnesota. I'm thinking about Anthony Davis when he was in New Orleans. Whether or not it gets to be to the point that it is volatile, it doesn't work out. These stars move on. They move forward. Eventually, they get what they want. They tried. The Rockets tried. They asked James Harden to come back. They had a couple of games with him on the court, and it did not work out. The only way that I see this going from here on out, Perk said it, they're headed towards a divorce.
Yeah, and it's not just the sort of situation right now that he said it's not working. Malika, how do you see James' self-awareness overall impacting the situation?
Well, I think that it's playing a part in it. It's hard when you're listening to John Wall, when you're listening to DeMarcus Cousins, hearing them say that this isn't the first time that the disrespect has shown up. This isn't the first time that they're feeling this way. It's hard to want to go out on the court and be focused on performing as a unit when you have one guy saying that this just isn't good enough. Oh, and by the way, that one guy is your franchise player. That's where the question comes up of whether or not James Harden can put himself into a 20,000-foot position and say, hey, looking down on this situation, I see my role in it. I see how I am impacting my teammates. I see the role that I am playing here, and I need to leave so that they can continue. Right now, it looks like James is putting everything out and not turning the mirrors back in on himself.
Perk, where would you rather him go? He's rumored to be going to either Brooklyn or Philadelphia. Where would you rather see him?
Well, to be honest with me, I think the best fit for the Rockets is for James to go to Philly because they're going to probably get back Ben Simmons. And James in Philadelphia, along with how Joel Embiid is playing right now, Danny Green is playing awesome, Steph Curry is playing elite basketball, and coached under Doc Rivers, they will be really dangerous in the Eastern Conference, and it will make it that more competitive to the Milwaukee Bucks, to the Brooklyn Nets. The reason that if I'm James, I wouldn't want to go to the Brooklyn Nets because I don't know what's going on with Kyrie. You go in there to think that you're going to play with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and then all of a sudden Kyrie Irving, you get in the first round of the playoffs and no one hears from him. He's nowhere to be found. So if I'm James, I'm looking at structure, I'm looking at what's going on, and I'm evaluating both of these ball clubs. And right now, Philly looks like the best ball club for him to go to.
Well, it's funny you should say that, Perk, because we are going to get back to the Rockets later in the show, but I do want to debut our latest jump show within a show. Oh, yes, it's Brooklyn 711. Yeah.